Welcome to the next video in the Patterns in Nature topic. This video will be looking at the dot point, identify that nuclei, mitochondria and chloroplasts contain DNA. Again, it's an identified dot point, so it's going to be nice and straightforward. So let's have a look. So where is DNA found outside the nucleus? So as we know, DNA is carried on strands that are referred to as chromosomes. So as we move into Year 12, and in particular in the Blueprint of Life topic, we'll be looking a lot more at these chromosomes, their structure, what they're made up of, and what they really do. At this stage, we just need to know that they carry the DNA. So during mitosis, the information that's carried on these chromosomes is transformed from cell to cell when the cells reproduce. So as we've seen, the DNA duplicates and then divides. Okay, so the information is transferred from cell to cell in that way. So we need to know that the nucleus isn't the only organelle that contains the DNA. So a lot of the time, that is where the most emphasis is put on, or the organelle, that the most emphasis is placed on it in terms of carrying DNA. But there's actually two other organelles that also contain DNA, and they are our mitochondria and our chloroplast. So just like the information that's stored in the nucleus, which is the main storage hub of the DNA, the information that's carried on DNA in the chloroplasts and mitochondria is also transferred to daughter cells through the process of mitosis. So here we see a really simplified diagram of a cell. We can see our three organelles that contain DNA. So we have nuclear DNA. So in the cell, in the nucleus, we have our chromosomes, which are in our usual X shape that we are quite often commonly associate chromosomes with, and then those chromosomes are made up of our double helix of DNA. Okay, then we have our mitochondria, which is our site of cellular respiration, but as well as that, they also contain these circular pieces of mitochondrial DNA. So it's important to note that the DNA is made up of the same things, however, they are slightly different between each of the three organelles. And the last one, we have our chloroplasts, whereas we can see here, we have a nucleoid, which are DNA rings. So again, the DNA in the mitochondria and the chloroplast are different in shape, still the same basic structure in terms of what they're made up of and what information they carry. They're just rearranged a little bit differently. Okay, and that's really it. We just need to identify that those three different organelles contain DNA, and we've done that. And that brings us to the end of this video, which is the very last video for Patterns in Nature. And thank you for watching.